Hello, Starshine! My name is Liz and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page where this whole thing began as well. Just be aware that I may be a bit further ahead there than I am here on my channel, so only look it up if you're alright with spoilers. All relevant links are in the description below. And of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then, so welcome. And what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done, but I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from Magnus and the StrangerVille Mystery, and we're at chapter 4. If you have not seen previous chapters and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado, Kil'aya knew that she had to figure this out. Whatever she and Owen had done down there had changed the nature of their quest from an investigation into a rescue. But she still needed more information. She had a few contacts back home on 6am, so she sent them everything she had so far. Kil'aya's friends back home on 6am didn't disappoint. From the photos, data and plant DNA samples she gave them, they were able to discover that the plants were all in bloom and almost ready to produce fruit. Kil'aya's friends were also able to tell her that if she nurtured, petted and talked to, the strange plants, they should be able to speed up their growth cycle, and she would be able to harvest a bizarre fruit that would tell her more than anything she had collected so far. After harvesting the bizarre fruit, Kil'aya took it home to plant in her basement lab for observation. It was a bold move because she didn't entirely know what would happen next, but she had to get to the bottom of this mystery. As the plant grew, Kil'aya was able to perform various tests on it. Her home planet of 6M was very advanced, and with their cooperation, she was able to discover that the plants were tri-stage beta pods connected by a root system to a mother plant somewhere in the area. Going over everything she had in her office, Kil'aya finally had a breakthrough. If she could just get her hands on an infection scanner from someone in the military, and use that to collect the spores from the mysterious strange plants, she could then create a spore profile whose data, combined with a hazmat suit, could protect her from whatever that strange blue mist beneath the lab had had in it. Now it was time to put her new pretend identity as a lab technician to use. She knew Carol Sweeney was still working on her investigation, and she decided to take advantage of the situation. Using all the knowledge she had acquired through her own illicit investigation, Kil'aya pretended to Carol Sweeney that she was already part of the conspiracy, just so high up that until now she hadn't wanted to reveal her place in the chain of command. Carol brought the infection scanner over a few days later. Kil'aya hadn't been sure if she'd really believed her story or not, but she must have to come back with the goods. Now she had the scanner, Kil'aya was able to start the real work. The spores were everywhere. Kil'aya found traces of them in her home, garden, and workplace, as well as everywhere in between. It didn't take her long to collect the 15 spores she needed for the hazmat suit's filter. Kil'aya was looking for spores, of course, but she also wanted to understand the plants if she could. Strange dreams had plagued her ever since she had gone through that misty corridor with Erwin, and she couldn't help but feel a connection with all the plants she came across. Even the spores in her specimen jars made her hands tingle a little. And that wasn't the only thing that made her hands tingle. Magnus caught her by surprise one day and proposed. She had been so distracted by her investigation that she'd almost forgotten he existed. But Magnus existed all right, and he wanted to marry her. They'd been together for almost 5 years now, and every day he fell in love with her a little bit more. She was smart, kind, beautiful, and for some godforsaken reason, she loved him back. They celebrated their engagement at the Love Festival in Simsational. So now, Kil'aya had to juggle planning a wedding and investigating the StrangerVille Mystery. It was too much to achieve alone. Luckily for her, the lab job she'd pretended to get had become so real, she had a couple of work friends she could recruit. Alexandria, the blonde, and Katie, the brunette, were happy to help. Alexandria in particular was quite passionate about the project, and it didn't take long with her help to get the spore filter ready. She even started work on a vaccine to help protect and cure people from the plant's influence. It was around this time that Kil'aya first started to suspect she may be pregnant. She and Magnus had had a big night in Simsational when they celebrated their engagement, and she couldn't remember if they'd used protection. Not that the suspicion of pregnancy stopped her. Wearing the specially prepared and altered hazmat suit, Kil'aya finally ventured into the darkest, deepest depths of the secret laboratory. Plant spores oozed all around her, but thanks to her protective equipment, they were unable to penetrate and possess her mind this time. As she moved through the corridor, Kil'aya noticed the mist begin to dissipate. By the time she reached the next room, the spores had vanished, and the air was clear enough for her to see a large collection of strange plants. It looked like they might have been experimented on, and as she drew closer, they began to move strenuously towards her. Worried they may break out and hurt her, Kil'aya retreated. Kil'aya later showed Alexandria the footage from the underground greenhouse gallery. It was in fact Alex who suggested they call Erwin back in. She thought his eclectic education could help them. They would all go down together: Kil'aya, Alexandria, Katie, and Erwin. Alexandria was right. Erwin knew exactly what he was looking at the moment he saw it. The plants were harmless and almost meaningless, just genetic variations of the ones they now knew, frozen in development by whoever had cloned them originally. And even though they arched towards the Sims as they drew near, Erwin assured them that they couldn't break out. Kil'aya could only hope he was right. And so this time, instead of retreating in fear, Kil'aya bravely led the way, followed by her 3 friends. At the very last minute, Alexandria pulled out a surprise: her vaccine, and inoculated all 4 of them, just in case, as well as distributing a handful of vials to each of them, again, just in case. Using her trusty stolen keycard, Kil'aya Nimeroo opened the final locked and sealed door of the secret underground lab to reveal... And that brings us to the end of Chapter 4 of Magnus Down and the StrangerVille Mystery. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook for spoilers. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Bye!